undisputed. So if Caleb Plant wants to try to get negotiations to go as good as he can in his favor, he has that belt is his bargaining. It's his bargaining power, you know. My thing is this: Canelo Alvarez has the edge on Caleb Plant everywhere. He has the edge in experience. He has the edge. He's gonna have the edge with the judges. He's gonna have the edge in every department, and it's still impossible to get him in the ring. So I don't see what the holdup is from Canelo. Now I was on Twitter, and there's all this talk now about him fighting Dmitry Bivol, and Dmitry Bivol is a guy that I rate. He's one of the 3 guys that I've wanted to see Canelo fight for a long time. I've wanted to see Canelo Alvarez test himself against either Demetrius Andrade or test himself against either Dave Benavidez or test himself against someone like Dmitry Bivol. So I think that'd be a great fight. I can't get mad at that fight, but my eyebrows do raise a little bit when I hear this for 2 reasons. Because of the timing of it all. He's never ever once expressed any interest in fighting Bivol, and now he's gonna fight him on short notice. So the question's got to be why does he want to fight Bivol on short notice? It's either 2 reasons. It's either A, him fighting Bivol is a negotiational tactic. It's a negotiation tactic to get whatever he's trying to get from Caleb Plant.
The Untouchable True School Sports Empire proudly presents something the boxing game's been missing. Hey, what's going on? It's your boy BT, and I came here to talk some boxing with the thousands of True School Sports subscribers. Now, as you guys can see in the clip in the beginning of this video, I tried to tell you that Canelo Alvarez was going to use Dmitry Bivol as a negotiational tactic to get whatever he wants in the Caleb Plant fight. I told you that was going to happen. I told you the Bivol fight was a farce. It was never reality. It was never in the cards. It was just to be used as leverage. Bivol was just a pawn in the chessboard for him to get what he wants. And lo and behold, let a week pass by, and your boy BT was right. That's why I'm the untouchable True School Sports Empire, because I know what I'm talking about. A lot of times I might sound crazy, and I might sound crazy, and I might even sound like I'm hating on fighters, but very few people will ever refute that I don't know about boxing. I don't know about what's going on in the sport. Now, with that being said, and with that being firmly established here on True School Sports, let's get into what's happening. Let's get into the particulars, the official particulars of what's happening. Okay, so Canelo Alvarez stated that there was a lot of reports coming out not too long ago about him fighting Bivol. That's not happening, and it's not happening so much so to the point that Canelo Alvarez won't even be fighting on the September 18th date that was reserved for him. And this will mark like the 2nd or 3rd straight year that he hasn't fought on Mexican Independence Day. So that's got to be alarming. And I don't think enough people are talking about that fact. I mean, Caleb Plant brought it up, but I don't think enough people are talking about that. That's number 1. Number 2, I find boxing to be very funny because a lot of times if you really are up on your boxing and you really study up on the history of boxing, you really just take the time to learn about the fighters' careers, different situations that have happened in different fighters' careers. You can see fighters from 30 years ago, 40 years ago, and even as early as 10, 15 years ago, you can see certain scenarios replaying themselves out now. And I think we have a case of that. We have a case of that now with Canelo Alvarez, and I'm going to tell you what I mean. Now, Canelo Alvarez, most people don't know this about Canelo Alvarez, but his trainer, Eddie Reynoso, also happens to be his manager. So let's camp out there for a second. His trainer, who knows him, his whole fight game inside and out, is also the guy that's picking his fights. And that's very important because he knows his strengths as well as his weaknesses, and he picks the opponents according to those strengths and weaknesses. Now, Eddie Reynoso, and Canelo Alvarez, they were offered a $40 million guarantee, the highest guarantee they've ever been offered, plus live gate money, plus pay-per-view upside, with the opportunity to fight for the chance to become the first Mexican undisputed champion, and they turned it down. That's not me hating. That's not me making facts out of thin air. That's not me being anti-Canelo. That's actually happened, and now he's now renegotiating Caleb Plant. But it kind of reminds me back when, another Mexican fighter, a great Mexican fighter. Juan Manuel Marquez, he had just had a great fight with Manny Pacquiao. HBO, the public was very excited about Marquez and Pacquiao and doing another fight with those two. And HBO had actually offered Marquez another chance at fighting Pacquiao. They offered him at the time, what was a career high $750,000 payday. He didn't take it, so then he wound up beating. I think he beat Victor Polo or Victor Pollo, whatever. What the guy's name was? Victor Pollo or Polo. He beat him, and then HBO actually offered him another fight later on that year with Eric Morales for $1.5 million. He wanted an unreasonable $3.5 million, and the fight never happened. Now, I don't know what the hell exactly Canelo wants, but I see this kind of in the same light as that. And what wound up happening to Marquez was he kept playing around. He kept, rejecting these great offers, which were massive amounts of money from at the time. And what wound up happening to him was he fought a little-known contender, a solid contender by the name of Chris John. And Chris John actually wound up beating Marquez, and he lost his title altogether. All those offers went up in smoke. So bringing that back to Canelo, I see this scenario with Caleb Plant the same way. Marquez's trainer, which is Nacho Berenstein, was his manager and his trainer as well. That wound up being his ultimate undoing. Now with Reynoso, I feel like at some point it's going to be Canelo's ultimate undoing because, for a long time, Canelo Alvarez has talked about making history, creating history, escribiendo la historia, writing history, and he's got a chance to write it, and he's so close to it, and it's not happening. And now they got to negotiate the fight. He's renegotiating the fight. So Canelo has lied to the fans about Bivol, which I told you guys. I told you when it came time to fighting Bivol, he wasn't going to do it because the reality is this: if he just used common sense, why would he fight Bivol? Why would you think he was going to fight Bivol when he had a world title in Bivol's weight class? And before we could even get the sentences out of our mouths to fight Bivol, he dropped the belt, vacated, and went back down to 160 or whatever it was. To the lower weight class. He had no intention of fighting Bivol or Beterbiev. So Bivol was just a pawn, and now he's going to go back to Plant. And look, these are going to be hard negotiations, all right? Now look, people may not want to admit this, but this is reality. Canelo Alvarez, in most people's estimation, might have a massive advantage in the ring because of experience, which I believe he does have an advantage because of experience. He has the advantage because politically he's the more connected fighter. He's the biggest money-making machine there is in boxing right now, particularly here in North America. Right? He has those things in his advantage. But the great equalizer in all this, whether you want to admit it or not, is Al Heyman. Al Heyman is negotiating this fight, and he's negotiating against Eddie Reynoso. And that's just not a fair fight. That's just not a fair fight. Because whether you love Al Heyman, you hate Al Heyman, one thing you cannot say about Al Heyman is that he's not a great businessman. He's a great businessman. He's a shrewd businessman. And we know that when it comes to Al Heyman, he's not going to be bullied in any negotiations. So Eddie Reynoso and Canelo, they best come correct because Al Heyman will not be pushed around. He will not be bullied, and he will not be given to the demands of what Canelo wants. Now, these things, because of Al Heyman, let's be fair and let's be balanced. These things have been to the ultimate undoing of the greater good of boxing. Like we've been starved out of a lot of fights because of how Al Heyman is. But this is one of those scenarios where I feel like this actually works in the favor of this is actually a good thing that Al Heyman is how he is because Canelo Alvarez is used to getting his way. Reynoso is used to getting his way. And now that they can't get their way, this is good. It's a hard negotiation. And I think, believe it or not, if this fight actually does happen, which I think it will, I'm remaining optimistic. I think it will. I think because of how everything's played out, it makes for a better build-up. It makes for a better fight. It makes for better everything. And a lot of people are talking about this fight more. And before any of this happened, I thought Canelo Alvarez versus Caleb Plant was a good competitive fight to begin with. Anyway, so yeah, man. Canelo Alvarez has lied to the boxing fans about Bivol. So I hope Reynoso and Canelo that they apologize to all of, not me, because personally I don't care about Canelo like that. As far as I'm not a fan of his. I make videos about him because people want to hear me talk about him, but I'm not a fan of his. I don't like what he stands for. I think he's a piss stain for boxing, to be honest with you. But they should apologize to the thousands and millions of his fans who they promised a fight on a very significant holiday in boxing, a very significant date. It means a lot in the sport of boxing to fight on Mexican Independence Day. And Canelo Alvarez has not grabbed that by the bullhorns. He's not doing that. And so there's no fight. You know, he didn't have to fight. He didn't have to fight Bivol. He could have fought somebody else. He could have fought another opponent. But he didn't want to do that. So he lied to his fans. And I hope they apologize to the fans, because it's wrong what they did, you know? And I'm just being honest. I know a lot of Canelo fans will say I'm hating, but I'm not hating. He had a reserved date to fight on September 18th. A very prestigious time in boxing. All right, boxing has a lot of great Mexican fans. You know, you would be lying to yourself if you didn't give Mexican fighters and the Mexican culture its just due for the place it has in the sport. You know, you can't even talk about the history of boxing without talking about the Mexican fighters. So to just reject fighting on a holiday like that, to reject fighting on a date like that for like the third year in a row, is not a good look for Canelo Alvarez. But look, hopefully the fight gets done. They're saying it could happen in November, so if it happens in November, this will all be a distant memory. But yeah, Canelo Alvarez has lied to the fans, and I just wanted to make this video to say that. I'll be following the negotiations closely. I'll remain optimistic that the fight can get done, because I truly believe, and I'm going to stand by my guns, I truly believe that Caleb Plant can beat Canelo Alvarez. And I think Caleb Plant has a great chance to upset the apple cart and take Canelo Alvarez to some deep, dark, uncomfortable places he hasn't been to in a long time. I would even go as far as to say he has a chance, if he puts it all together and he fights to the best of his ability, or if he fights anywhere close to the best of his abilities, he has a chance to take Canelo Alvarez to some places he hasn't been to in that boxing ring since he fought Floyd Mayweather. And you can laugh at that. You can pull out your pieces of paper and say, oh, well, Canelo fought this person, and Caleb Plant didn't fight that person, and Canelo has this resume, and Caleb Plant has that resume. Honestly, at the end of the day, none of that matters, because just like Canelo Alvarez, Caleb Plant is a world-class fighter, like Canelo is a world-class fighter. You know, he's not a guy that's like Rocky Fielding or Avni Yildirim who's stepping up to world level. He's an established world-level world champion, and he believes he can really win the fight. So, with that being said, you know, Canelo Alvarez and Eddie Reynoso have been picking fighters with certain styles, and it's been making them look better than they actually are in certain departments of boxing, such as defense and movement. And the Caleb Plant fight will be one of his toughest tests today. I can't say, you know, if he beats Caleb Plant, fair play to him. He's done something great. He's become the first Mexican undisputed champion. But, you know, I have my doubts whether or not he can beat Caleb Plant. And I think the more that these negotiations go on, the worse it is for Canelo Alvarez. So I'm looking forward to the fight. Hopefully it happens, because I know there's a lot of people out there that want to see Canelo Alvarez like myself. I want to listen. I'll be honest. I don't hide how I feel about Canelo Alvarez. I keep it honest with people that watch my channel. I want to see him lose. I think it'd be great for boxing if he lost. I think it'd be one of the best things for boxing if he lost, because then, you know, people would see that boxing isn't just a business. It's not just a money laundering, a pyramid scheme where the outcomes are damn near predetermined. You know, it would show you that the sport is still great at the highest level, and when the best fight the best, it is truly something. You know, and I think it'd be great for Canelo, because Canelo Alvarez has a ridiculous ego, and he's got lazy doing nothing, fighting, you know, the weakest champions and cannon fodder opposition. So it'd be great, because I think it would push Canelo to be his absolute best, and that's all we can ask from fighters, is to be the absolute best. So, you know, that's the news. Eddie Reynoso, he's back in negotiations, trying to secure that Caleb Plant fight. There will be no fight on September 18th. Canelo Alvarez has lied to his fans and the boxing public about fighting Dmitry Bivol. And yeah, that's just what it is. Dmitry Bivol continues to get treated like trash by Eddie Hearn. He continues to be used as a pawn by Eddie Hearn. You know, Eddie Hearn isn't securing Dmitry Bivol the big fights that he needs and that he deserves as the great talent that he is in the light heavyweight division, but that's a conversation for another day. And that's wrong in itself. So there's a lot of things going on wrong with this whole situation, but hopefully it ends with a big right, and hopefully it ends with Caleb Plant and Canelo happening in November. But you guys leave me your comments down below. Make sure you take the time to subscribe. And like I say in every single one of these videos, you can love me or you can hate me, but I'm just a kid from Dang It. So until next time, take care, guys. One last thing about Canelo. He plays golf, and no Mexican that I know plays golf. No Mexican, period, plays golf.